What's up, folks? Welcome to Ichabod. I am your host, Be Good, and it is that time of the day. I just decided to hop on and say what's up and share some things and see if we on the same page or can get on the same page. So yeah, welcome to the daytime version. What's happening, folks? Come on into the chat. Crystal, thank you so much for being you and doing what you do, for dropping the links. Really appreciate you. What's up, y'all? Come on in and say hey. I'll join you guys in the chat in 1 second. Give me a minute to get in there. In the meantime, I want to send a shout out to some people. These folks. Thank you so much to all the Patreon supporters. If you are a Patreon supporter, definitely appreciate you. If you're not a Patreon supporter, you can join. Look up above, hit one of them links, particularly the one that says Patreon, and you can join. But yeah, definitely sending a shout out to all of these supporters. Much love to you guys. Thanks for standing with the channel. There's a lot going on in the world, and I got a lot going on today. Yo, Alana, good to see you. What's up? What's going on? A lot going on. My day is jam-packed full of stuff, but I said I'm going to try to keep this Monday, Tuesday, Friday thing going as much as I can. So it was very tempting for me to just say, come on, with everything you got going on today, just nix it today. I was like, nah, I'm going to try to be faithful. He who is faithful in a few things or little things, God will make him, ruler over much. Do any of you all still have like Bible verses still floating around in your mind, and you somehow still use them as jump off points for what might be the right thing to do? Sometimes me and the folks I kick it with will tell jokes sometimes, and our jokes will be, very much still rooted in the thing that used to be the identity that we had as Christians. But either way, yes. Welcome, y'all. So what I'm going to do today is I'm calling this gut check. Not everything that I'm going to do on this channel, especially in these pop-up situations, not everything is going to have to do directly, immediately with theology or deconstructing or deconversion. Some of it will also have to do with not just tearing down, but also building up. And in light of that, I'm going to share some things today that I want to throw it out there just to see, like, how similar are we? How similar do we think about these kinds of things? Because it's not that we have to be the same, but I just want to know, how similar are we when certain things happen in our world, when we see them? Like, what does your gut do? And I was motivated to do this today because there's some things happening in our world. And I was tempted to say, like, yo, these people are soulless. But I'm like, I don't even believe in souls. So what do I mean when I start thinking about saying something or someone is soulless? Yeah. And I'm really just stalling to give a few more people a chance to get into the stream. What's up, James? Good to see you, man. Yeah. So I typically will, if you're a Patreon supporter and you throw something in the chat, I'll throw it up on the screen. If you're not a Patreon supporter and you throw something in the chat that I'm like, oh, that's going to advance the conversation, and I happen to see it, because I don't see everything that goes in the chat, I may throw that on the screen as well. But if you have something that you definitely want thrown up on the screen, best way to do it is to super chat it. It could be $1, it could be $5, $10, whatever you want. You super chat it, I'll throw it up on the screen for sure, unless it's just, rude and disrespectful or way, way, way off topic or something like that. But and particularly if you've been on the channel before, like James or somebody, I definitely want to shout you guys out. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play some things that have happened. You probably have heard about some of these things, but I just want us to kind of just talk about it in whatever this is, in terms of the little community that we're building here. People who are like-minded enough to come together and say, hey, when you jump on, I want to pop on too. Let's just see, what kind of community are we? How close to being in the same boat are we really? So you may have heard about this, you may not have, but you will now. All right, here goes.
Tonight on The Factor Uncensored, a father lands in trouble. Police say he left his kids to go on a job interview. Does this case highlight problems for other parents in similar situations? He decided to make themselves while a job interview ends badly for a man in Georgia. Chris Lewis was arrested March 22nd. Police say he left his kids in a McDonald's by themselves while he went to an interview for a job. He reportedly told police he did not have a car and lived nearby. Lewis said instead of making his 3 kids, who are 1, 6, and 10 years old, walk home alone, he decided to make them stay in the restaurant. There's been a lot and ongoing debate about this. If we can hold that, Sonora, grab that for me. A lot of debate about this on the Isaiah Factor Instagram page. We asked.
All right. This is interesting. I want to know if you've heard of this story before. What did you think? And if you hadn't heard of it before, but you're hearing about it now, what say you? What's up, Michael Beverly? Thanks for popping in. What say you? This father had a job interview and has a 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old. He's got them out feeding them, and then realizes, oh, shoot, I got to get to this job interview. So you could just immediately say, okay, poor planning, maybe. But rather than make them walk home alone, we live nearby, I don't have a car, you guys stay here. Tells the 10-year-old, you're in charge, buddy. All right. I don't know if the 10-year-old is a boy or girl. You're in charge. I'll be back. Maybe he, says something parental like, don't talk to any strangers. Don't leave with anybody. If somebody tries to get you to leave, reach out to another. I don't know if it's 2025, so I would imagine the 10-year-old has a cell phone and is pretty handy in how to use it. Text me if you have any problems. What do you think? I got to get to this job interview because this is how I provide for my children. I go and he's gone. They said it was over 2 hours. He's gone and these kids are here by themselves. And then somebody eventually says, this is not good. They call the cops. Dad gets arrested. Yeah, I'm seeing the comments here. What do you think? What is your gut say? Is anybody willing to say? Because then, when I first saw it, it was on Facebook, and some of the comments were like, "Yo, free that man, free him from jail," and then others were saying, "Y'all wild for saying free him." Like, what do you do? Is anybody willing to say Dad was not wrong? If you're willing to say that, and you're willing to stand behind that in the chat, anybody willing to say Dad was not wrong, throw that in the chat. Or if you say he was wrong, but he wasn't jail wrong, how wrong was Dad here? What should happen to Dad in this case? What are you thinking? How many of you, when you were younger, you were left home alone? Maybe you traveled across the city to go to school alone. I know when me and my sisters, when we were 10 years old, we were taking city buses from one side of the city to the other alone to go to school and get home while my mom and my dad were at work. Now, granted, we didn't have a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old in tow, but these kids are not traveling. They're you stay put. I'm going to go and I'm going to come back. And the 10-year-old is in charge. Let me see what you guys are saying here. Oh, Ivy Connolly, I'm just letting you know right now. If you're on bullshit, I'm going to get you out of here. We're having a conversation. We don't need you coming here talking your bullshit. I don't mind your comments at all from the vantage point that you come from, but stay on point. I know you want to have a conversation about morality. Maybe in the next clip that I play, I'm going to broach a topic of morality because I'm actually planning to do a whole episode on how does a atheist even have a moral system, because people like you keep goading me to talk about ethics. So I understand what you're trying to do. Trust me, I see all your comments, but be a normal person. Like the most I'll say to answer your question right now is we can at least give each other mutual respect. We don't have to, but I don't also have to put up with you either. I can just get you the fuck out of here. So if you want to be around, just be a normal person, be around. I'll respect you. You respect me in this community. I'm talking about something that's not what you're talking about right now. Just be on point. Be a normal person. You don't have to play by my rules. I'm not putting out a law that you have to obey, but I also don't have to keep you here. So that's part of what will begin to be my answer to your many, many questions about ethics and morality. You don't have to be in the society if I don't want you in the society. Extrapolate that out to morals on a broader level. That's the most I'm going to say to you. All right. Other than that, play by the rules I'm setting in this community, or you'll be gone. All right. Thank you very much. Let me go back up now and see what y'all were saying about this situation. James said, I had 2 younger siblings and we were left home alone constantly from the time I was 10 years old on. Okay. Michael Beverly says, instead of calling the cops, why didn't this person sit with the kids and make sure they're okay? It's insane to think the kids are better off now. That's one of the first things I thought. Okay, we don't like, this goes to Ivy Connolly's question about morality and what's right and wrong. And how can you say, even if it's not a universal right or wrong, even if it's just we don't like this, or we don't think this is healthy, or we don't think this is safe, we don't want the outcome that's going to happen if these kids are, even if it's just a personal preference of we don't want this, is the best response, so call the cops? Because like Michael Beverly says, if you call the cops, now dad is incarcerated. Okay, forget being at McDonald's alone. Now what's happening to the kids? So yeah, I definitely hear you on that note. Kermit says he should have taken them with him. Like, we don't know what he actually did say or do. Did he go to a manager and say, hey, this is a little unorthodox. I'm gonna be going for a while, but my kids are here. The 10-year-old, he's got a couple of dollars. Maybe he'll buy some more stuff to afford to be able to stay here. You know what? Just keep an eye on. We don't know what he did. If he texts a friend and said, hey, I don't know why he thought it was okay. Maybe he didn't think he would be gone that long. I don't know why he thought this was okay. So I'm not excusing it at all, saying he should have done this. Crystal says, I say it's an atrocity the way people have to get things done when they are poor. That's another consideration. Like, why is he driven to this? Right? He has limited choices. He probably thought they'd be safe there. Because my thought is, okay, if you're going to leave them alone, why not leave them home alone? For whatever reason, he was there when he decided I can't have them walk home alone, which means he didn't have enough time to get them home and get to the job interview. He couldn't do them both. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. It's heartbreaking. Tranview says, I was left alone at 8 with my 5-year-old brother. Yeah, the latchkey era. Definitely. I remember the latchkey era. I definitely was a latchkey kid. All right. Trying to see any more comments here that's worth checking out. uh, I want to say so many things right now, but I'm gonna be good. Hey, because I am be good. Nobody was willing to say that the dad was not wrong at all. And I think this is one of the things that happens a lot of times is a lot of times people who are not on the side of the fence that I'm on. So I consider myself sort of leaning much more to the left than being just the conservative that I used to be. But a lot of times people think, oh, if you got a problem with ICE immigration, you got a problem with whatever, does that mean you're just for any old thing? You don't have any standards, you don't have any sense of morality, you don't think that this dad was wrong at all? I don't think anybody in this chat says the dad was not wrong at all. This is my sister in the chat, my sister SG. She says, this is the first I'm hearing of this, and she corroborates my story. We used to stay at home at a very young age. It was a different time then. He was trying to provide, so I don't think incarceration is the best solution. Yeah, I mean, maybe slide him some parenting classes, or like, why arrest this man? Like, yeah, our justice system, our attempts to get justice in this country. So that's one father who's arrested. Now I'm going to go to a different video with another father. And let's see where we are on this one. All right. Here it goes.
Item the factor uncensored cells while he went to.
Let me see. Here we go.
9, we are learning a Prince George's County father has been deported by mistake. In a new court filing, the Trump administration conceded that it mistakenly deported the man to El Salvador because of, quote, an administrative error. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia is a Salvadorian national who was granted protected status by an immigration judge in 2019. Although ICE was aware of his protection from removal, he was still deported. Abrego Garcia's lawyer tells WUSA 9 that they are working to get him back. The administration argued that it cannot bring him back because he is in El Salvadorian custody or Salvadorian custody.
I'm going to run that back because I think you need to, like, I'm fighting back tears even hearing this. I'm going to run it back. I want you to think about what's being said here.
By mistake. My father has been deported by mistake. In a new court filing, the Trump administration conceded that it mistakenly deported the man to El Salvador because of, quote, an administrative error. Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia is a Salvadorian national who was granted protected status by an immigration judge in 2019. Although ICE was aware of his protection from removal, he was still deported. Abrego Garcia's lawyer tells WUSA 9 that they are working to get him back. The administration argued that it cannot bring him back because he is in El Salvadorian custody or Salvadorian custody.
Talk to me. What does your gut tell you here? So all around the country, we have ICE agents enforcing these new immigration crackdowns that, hey, if you're here illegally, and first it was under the guise of these are violent, Chandearagua gang members, we're trying to get them out of here. They're raping little girls, and they're saying everything to get your emotions and to get you incensed so that you can green light this bullshit. Then you start realizing that, oh, wait, you got this other order over here that you're revoking it's not just the people who are here illegally over, I think it's 300,000 people from Chile and South America. You're revoking their legal status and deporting them. So wait, this ain't that illegal thing you were saying. You're trying to get the illegal immigrants out of it. Now, even the people that have legal status, you're revoking that and getting them out of here. And then this guy, who in 2019 was granted legal status, he cannot be removed from the country. Legally, he's here since 2019. And then the thing that they left out of this story, this guy has a 5-year-old autistic child who's intellectually disabled, and he's in this country providing. He's got a wife and a 5-year-old child who is autistic, and because of a clerical error that they were aware of, like it wasn't like they found out afterwards, like, oh, he had protective status. No, they knew he had protective status. Yep, somehow he comes up on their radar, and their radar, and they still think, well, he came up, we got to get him, and they get him out of here. His lawyer gets involved, and now they're saying like, yo, bring him back. And the administration, the government says, sorry, he's in Salvadorian custody now. Nothing we can do. What does your gut tell you? What do you think? What do you feel here? Yeah, talk to me. I see more people chiming on the first story. Michael Beverly chimes on this one, says these ICE agents are like Nazis, or only worse because they have history as a guide. That's an excellent point. One of the things that we're having to wrestle with now is, I'm sure many of us thought we learned lessons from World War II, and we've said, we could never be like that. That could never happen again. We learned those lessons. We would see the signs. We would stop it. We would speak up. Yet here we are. Here we are. You start seeing the pretexts for war. You start talking about, fentanyl is coming across our border from Mexico and Canada, even though Canada is such a minuscule amount. But you start using these kind of pretexts for, now we're at war with them. At least we're going to have a trade war first. And then you start seeing, well, that trade war is slipping in to darker language. You start talking about what you want to do, the Greenland, and you start saying, wait a minute, this is how it begins. I thought we were past that. And you realize, no, we're not past that. We're very much susceptible to all the things you read about in the history books that you feel like that was then, this is now. No, this is then. Some future generation will look back at us and say, they were this is then. They thought they were different, but no, this is then. Kim says, I think we will start to see more weaponized incompetence. Yeah. Bad hombres. That's what Trump called these people. These are bad hombres. The people that he's using to he's using them to get the rest of us upset enough to let them do whatever. These are bad hombres. And you start realizing who these bad hombres are. Their fathers, their soccer coaches, their hairstylists, bad hombres that we've got to get out of here. Really? Yeah. SG says, this is tragic. Just like with everything else, they are acting too fast and picking up people's lives. Well, somebody said, and I believe this assessment, they said the cruelty is the point. It's not like the cruelty is by mistake. Like, we didn't. The cruelty is the point. This is why there are cameras in the prison, and they're using these big military planes that are costing taxpayers over $750,000. They're doing all this for the sake of showing you how cruel they're willing to be, so that the rest of us shut up and take it. Because what if they start coming up with new pretexts to, it's not just these immigrants, it's not just these anybody who speaks up against the administration, we could find a justification to get you out of here. And they literally have had conversations about whether or not the US can jail citizens of the United States in this El Salvador prison. Not just immigrants, can we jail US citizens there? So now if you got to think to yourself, like, should I be thinking, hold on, Brady, because if you talk too much and too loud about this administration, they could go back, you can't delete stuff from the internet. They can go back and find this conversation and use this as a cause to deport me. This is the kind of world that they want to create, where you've got this kind of fear, so you don't speak up. So you kind of just sit back and let it happen. Just to be fair, let me show you, I'm not trying to be an asshole to you. Ivy Connolly, commenting on topic here, says, according to my level of consciousness and ethics, I was taught that the government is wrong. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. If you could say a little more, I would like to know actually what you mean. You were taught that the government is wrong in any and every case? Just because they're the government, they're wrong? Yeah, Pragmatic Crystal asking the same question I'm asking. Wrong about what exactly? Right. And this is sort of where I'm going to, I'm planning an episode, hopefully for next week, where I want to begin to talk about why I believe humanism is a much better ethical system than what religion gives, because why do I think that father in that McDonald's doesn't necessarily need to be put in jail? Why do I think that what's happening with this ICE crackdown and this father who's deported, why do I think that's wrong? And what you find when you really once you deconvert, what you realize is you now have to become your own arbiter of ethics. But you don't just stay in your house and live in your house. If you lived alone, you could have your own ethical system and never have to worry about what happens when your ethical system runs up against somebody else's ethical system and you don't agree. But because you live in a society, now you do start having to figure out, okay, why do I think this is right and that's wrong? And what do I do when I run up against somebody else and they got a different outcome of what they think is right or wrong? And we start having to this is why God is useful. This is why religion is a crutch. Because what religion does is it cuts out the guesswork of you trying to justify why you think this father does deserve jail time or maybe not, or why you think this father should be deported or shouldn't. The conversation is complex in terms of how you arrive at your sense of what's right and wrong. Injecting a God into the conversation takes the guesswork away because it's already been determined. And it takes the responsibility off of you, because even if you have an effed up, so let's just go to the Bible, right? Ivy kindly said, would you debate me? I would consider it. One of the things I would need you to think about in the debate is you start talking about God is your source of morality. What do you do when your God gives you the right to rape people? Because if you put the responsibility of coming up with your ethics, if you take it off of you and put it on your God, then even when your God says something that is batshit crazy, hey, he's holy, he's omniscient, he knows best. So even if he's saying something that I personally wouldn't agree with, I didn't say it, God said it. That may be easier, but that doesn't necessarily give you the best results. That doesn't necessarily give you ethical results. And of course, you start talking about, well, what do you mean by ethics? And you get into your ethical systems. All I'm saying is there's a reason why these things stood out to me as wrong. And part of what humanism does is humanism does use it's almost like humanism begins, and I'm not going to steal my own thunder and go into the episode that I'm planning, but humanism does take a very core principle of, would I like that? Would I like that if it happened to me? And then it sort of creates this mirror image and says, well, damn, if I wouldn't like that if it happened to me, this other person, they're not dissimilar from me. Now, they may be a different ethnicity, they may be a different gender, they may have a different sexual orientation, but really they're not that dissimilar from me. So if I wouldn't like it, I'm going to give that person the benefit of the doubt and say they've got the same sentiments, the same sensitivities that likely that I have. And if I wouldn't like it, neither would they. I wouldn't like it if what's happening to them is happening to me. And if what was happening to them was happening to me, what would I want? I wouldn't want people to just turn a blind eye to it and mum's the word and not. I would want people to speak up, to stand up, to say something. And so what humanism begins to do is it begins to take the things that I would want for me and give that same grace, that same courtesy to other people. And you find this same ethic in almost every religion. So you can even go to Jesus's quote unquote golden rule of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, Jesus wasn't the first one to say that, and he wasn't the only one to say things like that. You can find this in almost every religion. But really what that is it's humanism dressed up as theology. Even in the Bible, you find this very self-centered motivation. This day I put before you life and death. Choose life, for why should you die? Even though we put it under the guise of, no, do this for God's glory. Do this. Really, even the threat of hell and the potential of heaven, what is that doing? It's trying to motivate you to do what's in your best interest. So even the religious ethic, if you think that one is better, is not devoid of a self-interested principle. And I won't say much more about that because, like I said, I'm going to do a whole episode on this at some point. But that being said, let me go to the comments and see what you guys are saying. All right. I'm seeing a lot here, but I don't have, because I'm on air, I don't have time to necessarily read every single comment. I just so you know how my mind is working, I just saw some words in this comment that made me think there's probably something juicy here. That's why I just grabbed this one comment, because I don't have time to read every single one of them. James says, compare the current cultural shift versus the love-filled words inscribed in Our Lady Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe. Is it learning to be free or learning to breathe free? I don't remember. Learning to breathe free. Well, you know, there was some talk in France recently about maybe taking the Statue of Liberty back. Even more crazy, France eventually said, no one's going to take the Statue of Liberty back. It was a gift. That's y'all's. But y'all are not standing for liberty anymore. So maybe y'all shouldn't have that statue. Just the other day, I think it was yesterday, American officials at the U.S. Embassy in France put out a notice to France telling them that they're about to face 25% tariffs if France does not get rid of all of their DEI policies. So now the U.S. is going to start combing through France's business dealings and all the government dealings to see where DEI exists in France. And if they find it, they're going to face the same kind of tariffs that America's get. Like, what the hell is going on here? I promise you, I said this over a month ago, and now I'm starting to see other people say the same thing. If Donald Trump was a Russian asset, even an agent, tasked with destroying the United States from the inside out, would he be doing anything different than what we're seeing this man do right now? Like, I promise you, this man is on a mission to push this country towards civil war, towards isolationism. Like, it's insane what's going on right now. Let me see here. I'm scanning for any comments that are related to what I just said about. Let me see. So I have this in my Kindle now, and I just bought the audiobook because I'm so tired of reading stuff. Behave by Robert Sapolsky. You will find many social scientists agree we don't have free will. Yep, I'm in the process of reading that right now. Now, and I'm not saying that I agree that we don't have free will. Robert Sapolsky also has a book on free will, which I'm also listening to. I don't agree that we don't have free will, but I'm not necessarily airtight on how I want to represent that. And I'm still thinking through it. So I'm sure there'll be a episode on that coming up at some point too. From Pragmatic Crystal says, humanism is a philosophy that emphasizes the value and agency of human beings, advocating for human dignity, freedom, and the development of human potential through reason and science. I started there. I didn't know the terminology because as a Christian, the term humanism, I was always afraid and prejudiced against that term. But before I even knew what it was, I began to embrace it. And then I had a conversation with a guest that I had on the show, Joshua, who did a Life After Faith episode. And we got to talking, and he made me start thinking, I don't know whether it's humanism or whether it's sentientism that I'm really in favor of. I don't think it's just humanism, just human beings. I think it's sentient beings that I'm more concerned about, which is why I'm having more and more a problem with being a meat eater, because these are sentient beings. But then you hear people start talking about, well, wait, plants might be sentient too. I just saw something yesterday where there's some scientists, some cosmologists who are actually beginning to put forth this idea that even the sun has something like consciousness, not on the level that we're thinking about, but they're sort of borrowing ideas from panpsychism and trying to bring that into cosmology and astronomy. I don't know how far I would go with any of that, but these are things that you end up thinking about once you remove God from the equation, which I think we really, really should. Because I think the God answer, the God hypothesis has not panned out. All right. I think y'all are having I think I was diving into the conversation y'all are having in the chats, but I pretty much have said what I wanted to say. I'm previewing that I'm going to be coming back soon to do a whole episode on humanism, why it's better than the religious model for morality and ethics. I want us to have a heart. One of the things that I was saying about these ICE agents and the people who are standing by and letting this stuff happen is, I was saying this morning, I said, man, these people don't even have souls. And I was like, well, I don't believe in souls. So what am I actually complaining about? And this is the thing that Ivy Connolly is trying to get me to address. What's so wrong about it if there's no God and if there's no this and if there's no that? But I instinctively do have this sense of right and wrong. And I think there's a reason why that has absolutely nothing to do with a God. And that's what I'm going to be talking about coming up soon. Either way, much more to come. I just wanted to jump on. Like I said, I got a lot going on, but I wanted to be faithful to my Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, as long as I don't have any other recordings planned. If you ever see me not jump on a Monday, Tuesday, or Friday, it's probably because I was planning to record with somebody, and that was the only time that they could be available. So I had to record during that time. Otherwise, I'm going to be here just so we can chop it up, helping to create a sense of community. Those who are deconverting and deconstructing. I know you could feel alone at times. And so even if you're at work and you just prop this up on your desk, like, hey, I'm listening in my earbud, I can't really get in the chat, but I'm listening, I'm watching. I wanted to do something to help us get a sense of you're not alone out there. And even if you're not watching it live, you're catching it afterwards, still know that I'm thinking about you. You are the reason that I am not just disappearing into the wind, because I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not the only one thinking the way that you're thinking, processing the way that you're processing. And if I can be that for you, what's driving me to do that is my humanism. I know that when I was going through my deconstruction, deconversion, I didn't know about the Matt Dillahunties. I didn't know about the Paula Gias and all that. I didn't have this. And so if I can be this for people, the thing that I didn't have, and I want to be that. Much love. Thank you so much, Kim. Appreciate that. I appreciate the appreciation. But y'all go ahead and have a great day, and I'll get with you. Peace.